It's a lovely fresh morning here in Cannes, just looking out the window of my hotel room overlooking the runway. And today's flight is up to Zaragoza. And the reason I'm going there is it was a diversion airport for the Space Shuttle. Just went through security and on the way to India Victor. Fortunately, I've just banged my ear doing the walk around, banged it on the flap hinge, so that's bleeding at the moment. I've long been interested in human spaceflight.
Liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
I've reported on 3 space shuttle missions for the BBC. Former British astronaut Piers Sellers became a close acquaintance and inspired me to become a pilot. And I'd heard about the role that the Spanish military base in Zaragoza played in virtually every launch, and so I've long wanted to land there myself.
Nice wet toothbrush, grab some toothpaste.
Plus, I recently got to meet Canadian astronaut, test pilot and space station commander Chris Hadfield.
Hi John, how are you? I'm Chris.
I'm thrilled to meet you. He still flies GA today, and in this episode he shares with me and you some tips that he's learned in his distinguished spaceflight career that can help us become better pilots.
Cat Tower, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, Alpha 2 ready for departure.
Oh, and stay tuned, because later in this video you'll get a chance to meet Chris yourself in person.
Flight Alpha 2, clear takeoff runway 17, and we'll go, Golf, India Victor. Okay, flaps are up, gears up, landing lights off. T's and P's are in the green.
I fly internationally knowing I have the backing of my AOPA UK membership. Should I get into any bother, they'd offer me information and free legal advice. I'm a member too to support their continued efforts to secure our freedoms to fly around the world. Sign up today for 25% off with my special link. I'm also pleased to be flying with Cloudbase GA on board. Their logging device quietly records my flights and automatically updates my tech log without me having to lift a finger.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, maintain 2,000 feet, contact NIS information to continue 120.850, over.
Maintain 2,000 feet, Nice 120.850, goodbye, Golf India Victor. Nice information, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, 2,000 feet.
Bonjour sir, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, the scope is 5423 for you, and call you back.
Squawk 5423, confirm.
That's a firm, sir.
Golf India Victor. So we're nice and happy in the cruise now, hopefully. Just got a bit of controlled airspace to get clearance through shortly. The flight's going to take 3 hours and 45 minutes, we're half an hour in already. And whilst I negotiate the French airspace, which actually is usually very straightforward, I want to introduce a very special little interview. The other day I managed to catch up with astronaut and International Space Station commander Chris Hadfield. He's become a bit of a celebrity since his 3 missions. He's flown on the Soyuz rocket, he's been to the Mir space station, as I say, commanded the International Space Station, and has flown aboard 2 space shuttles as well. And just a little while back I caught up with this really interesting and inspiring character.
Chris Hadfield, it is amazing to meet you. Thank you for coming on to talk to me today. I think it's fair to say you're kind of the best known modern day astronaut. People have said you're the most famous since Neil Armstrong. Did you set out to be the kind of celebrity spaceman?
No, Neil Armstrong didn't either, but sometimes the things that you do in your life get other people's attention. You know, if you're doing something new and that captures people's imagination or that is pushing the edge of the human experience, then it becomes remarkable. And if enough people remark on it, then we call it viral. And the things that I've done are unusual. To command a spaceship, to do a spacewalk, to be blinded while outside on a spacewalk, to intercept Soviet bombers who were practicing cruise missile launches on North America, to put an F-18 out of control in order to make develop new ways to recover it and make it safer for people to fly. Those are things that I've done.
We're well clear now if you want to start moving.
This is Mission Control Houston as astronauts Chris Hadfield and Scott Parazynski complete the installation of a UHF antenna to the exterior of the Destiny Lab.
And Chris, can you verify that you closed the flaps on all the bolts? We're doing that now. Okay, next. Okay, stop, Jeff.
This is a live television view of Chris Hadfield at work as he continues removing the super bolts, the launch restraint bolts for the Canadarm2.
Yes, sir. It should be the tightest of the three. Yeah.
Endeavour and the International Space Station are 238 miles above the mid-Atlantic Ocean.
Chris Hadfield shot to fame for his charismatic, engaging and educational vlogs from space, and for his recording of David Bowie's Space Oddity from Earth's orbit. He's been an advisor to Virgin Galactic, is assisting the UK government with its space policy, and he's a celebrated author and public speaker. He's touring the UK, Ireland and Australia this summer. Details about that in a moment. But how did it all begin?
My father's a pilot. His brother bought him one of those familiarization rides when he was like 17. And he was working as a farmer, my dad was. And he went to the local airport and went for a ride and decided, that's better than farming. I want to do that. And within 6 months, he had all of his ratings and was becoming a flight instructor and working his way towards becoming a commercial airline pilot. And he eventually flew B-17s in the high Arctic, doing aerial photography for map making, and down in the northern, like Venezuela, Caribbean, and northern South America. But he eventually became an airline pilot and flew for Air Canada until he retired. So, all to say, I grew up in a flying family, and he had a little airplane most of the time I was growing up, a Piper Cub. My first flight was out of Sarnia Airport in a Piper Cub, when I was, 4 or something. So I've been flying my whole life. But what really motivated me, John, was space travel. I thought flying is great and fascinating and fun, and there's good careers there, and I'm happy to do all those things. But boy, what's in my heart is to not just fly, but fly a spaceship. And so I just sort of laid out a pattern for my life of, what do I want to be doing the most? And how can I start gaining the skills that would allow me to have that in my life? And so I thought, if the end game is to fly a spaceship and walk on the moon or whatever, then back it up a little. Okay, then I need to be a military test pilot, because we fly in space. Okay, how do you become a military test pilot? We got to join the military. And you have to have first just been a military pilot. And then how do you get accepted as a military pilot? Well, my odds are better if I already know how to fly. So I joined the Air Cadets when I was 13 years old. And we have a similar program to the UK and Canada, the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. And so 13 years old, the reason I joined the Royal Canadian Air Cadets and learned about leadership and meteorology and aerodynamics and all the rest of it was to fly spaceships. But they sent me off to learn to fly gliders, as you say, this summer when I was 15, 16. I was flying Schweitzer 222s and 233s, and they were air-towed and winch-towed and towed behind a truck. And it was great because it's just pure flying. No radio, no engine. All you're doing is managing energy and planning ahead. Great way to learn to fly. We get so distracted by technology and communications that we forget that the real skill is flying. And so I learned that summer. And then the next summer I got selected for a powered scholarship. And so out of London, Ontario, I learned to fly powered airplanes. And then I joined the Air Force when I was 18, and I went through our military academies. They're sort of based on Sandhurst. It's called the Royal Military College, and did an engineering degree because I thought, well, I want to walk on the moon. I need to be an engineer as well as a pilot. And besides, if I get a piece of flying metal in my eye, I could lose my physical anytime. So I need a backup plan. Studied engineering, And then I started flying training, and I took every second of flying training extremely seriously because I recognized that my future hinged on it. And so we went out in the prairies, which is one of the great training bases in the world, the prairies of Canada. So I was in Portage la Prairie just to learn little airplanes, and then out in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, to fly jets, the little jet trainers. And then I did well enough on those courses that I got selected to fly fighters. And then up to Cold Lake, Alberta, up in the north of the prairies, to learn to fly F-5s and then F-18s. And then I was a F-18 combat fighter pilot during the Cold War. And then got selected for test pilot school up in the high desert at Edwards Air Force Base. Um, all of that fascinating. And I loved every second of the flying. And I still do. My dad has a Cessna 170 and a Belgian airplane called a Stomp, SV4B Stomp. It looks like a Tiger Moth. The Rothmans team in the UK flew them as an aerobatic team for years. Great, tough aerobatic, big, square, slow thing. Um, and he still flies at 90 years old. And my brother has an RV6 and a Fairchild, old rotary Fairchild. And I have a 1959 Comanche 250. And I love flying, just uh, the freedom of it, the complexity of it, the personal demand of it to push myself to be able to do it. Um, and the perspective it gives me, the freedom of travel, um, the rareness of it. I mean, a very small percentage of people can just go to the airport, get in their airplane, and fly 1,000 miles somewhere, and not have to ask anybody. Um, and and so I find it immensely liberating, but it also keeps me sharp. And the technology, as you know, has been continuing to evolve. So ever since I was that 3-year-old getting into a J3 Cub or whatever the age was, I've enjoyed it, and I continue to enjoy it now. And I've flown a lot, maybe 100 types of airplanes over the years, big and small, and count myself very lucky.
We often talk about transferable skills and what maybe we can learn from as private pilots, what we can learn from commercial pilots and commercial aviation. What can we learn from your travels in space that we can apply maybe to our private flying, do you think?
Number one is purpose. What is the reason for what we're doing today? And how do you keep that clear and make sure that, my objective today is I'm going to do slow speed landings or minimum roll landings today. Okay, that is my purpose today. Or I'm going to just get from A to B. Or today I'm going to work on slow speed flight. I'm going to be whatever. I'm going to better understand ADS-Bs today, something. What is the purpose of what you're doing? Because it's not just frivolity, but it's a very demanding and purposeful environment. And every single flight I did as a professional military pilot and combat pilot, fighter pilot, test pilot, and as an astronaut, it's extremely purposeful. And that not only dictates the skill set that you have to have, but it also makes it more joyful, I think, so that there's something new and demanding on every flight. And then the second piece is in the planning and development of what you're going to do. If this is my purpose, if this is what I'm trying to get done, then what can I do here during the quiet, safe time on the ground in order to optimize my chances of accomplishing that thing safely? If I'm going to take an F-18 up and put it out of control, like I did, and evaluate different methods of regaining control of a tumbling F-18 up at 35,000 feet, then let's do most of the work here on the ground and then figure it out. And same thing, when I flew last week here, it was just, okay, I'm going to work on short field landings. And so let's dig right into it. What is my minimum safe approach speed, given what the gusty conditions are today and the max gross weight and the CG of my airplane? Let's get back into the numbers and let's look at it. And then let's figure out how to fly the pattern and what should I be doing with the engine, and then are there different braking techniques, and can I, like some pilots do, can I actually, because I've got a manual flap lever, can I be raising my flaps as a way of settling onto the runway so that I get more weight in the wheels and get under the braking a little bit sooner? So do all of the research and the prep and the study, and then get ready for the flight. Really dig into it. Don't just show up at the airplane and go flying, but what is the weather? If I have to land in a field today, what's the level of growth of all the crops on the farmers' fields around here? Can I still land in a cornfield or a bean field, or is it the wrong season? Or have they taken off the hay yet? Thinking about, okay, so am I limited to golf courses and roads, or what have I got? And review emergencies. And I find driving to the airport is a great time to review emergencies, because no emergency declares itself like it exists in the checklist or the operating manual. Nowhere in the airplane does it say oil leak. You actually have to sort out from the symptoms of what is actually happening in order to get into the right part of the checklist to respond appropriately. And also, your brain is full. You're flying and you're communicating. And so a great time to run through all that is while you're busy with the mechanical demands of driving. And so can you actually run all your emergency procedures while you're driving your car? Because I think I'm a musician also. And I find if I learn to play a complicated guitar piece, and then I try and sing, my hands stop moving, because I realize it's the same memory part of my head. And I have to put it into some other hard drive somewhere else. And it applies to flying emergency procedures also. You have to be able to recall them while you're in the demand of actually doing operating a machine. And then taking it all, you're the pilot, and taking it all very seriously. But then also having fun with the whole thing, noticing how beautiful it is. Take a bunch of pictures. Just notice how rare and magnificent it is to be one of the world's pilots and be able to fly, even though it's just a Piper Comanche on a regular Thursday afternoon, but just that you're a bird and how great that is.
I know my audience will be hanging on all of those words. Chris Hadfield, a real pleasure to meet you. Good luck with your tour. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Nice to talk to you, John, and fly well.
What a lovely chap. And behind the charisma, the showman, the musician, the author, a totally focused and dedicated aviator. And just great that he was prepared to come on here and share some of his knowledge with us to hopefully make us better pilots.
So Chris Hadfield is going to be touring England, Scotland and Ireland in June this year, 2025, with his A Journey into the Cosmos tour. I've booked tickets and I am now going to offer you the chance to come with me. We're going to have a competition, and I'm offering a ticket for one person to come and see A Journey into the Cosmos with Chris Hadfield on the 21st of June. That's the height of British summer. At 7:30 in the evening at the new Oxford Theatre, the new theatre in Oxford. And on top of that, you'll get to meet Chris Hadfield, have a meet and greet with him, have your photo taken with him, and I think his latest book will also be given to you signed as well. It's a prize worth £105. Slightly lesser value is that you'll be coming with me, so you'll be sharing a really nice seat next to me, and you'll come and see Chris Hadfield with me as well. So that's the 21st of June at 7:30, and if you want to be entered into the draw for that ticket, then here are the details of how to enter. So this prize has been donated by Norvik Aero Engines. They don't overhaul rocket engines as far as I know, but if they did, they'd probably be exceptionally reliable. I fly with engine cylinders supplied by Norvik. They're the most approved engine shop in the world, and they treat their customers fairly and with respect. To enter the draw to win these tickets to see Chris Hadfield with me in June, here's what you need to do. Follow Norvik Aero Engines on Instagram or Facebook, or both. Find the post relating to this competition. Reply in the comments with your answer to the following question: what was the name of the first person to walk on the moon?
Entrants must be over 18, be able to attend the Chris Hadfield show in Oxford on Saturday the 21st of June, and prizes cannot be resold. You can only submit one entry per person per social media platform, but that means that if you follow on Facebook and Instagram, you get 2 chances to win. Remember to follow all those steps to be entered into the draw. The competition closes at midnight on Wednesday the 2nd of April 2025, with the winner being announced in my next YouTube video and on the Norvik Facebook and Instagram pages. Good luck!
So I said earlier that we're heading to Zaragoza, which is the primary diversion landing site for the Space Shuttle. And if you ever hear a Space Shuttle launch back in the day, when they're advancing into orbit, they'll go past several gates, time gates, distance gates. You'll hear them called, 2-engine TOW is what they're called. So they'll reach a certain orbit or height, and if they continue with just 2 engines, they can now do a transoceanic abort diversion to a diversion site. And Zaragoza was the primary Space Shuttle diversion site, and you will have heard it all the time. Probably because of the nice weather here, it was within the zone of the orbit that it was entering, and it's got a huge runway. I mean, the Space Shuttle runway here is just about just tad over 2 miles, 2 miles long, like 12,000 feet. I'm not sure we're going to be landing on that one today, but we'll land on one next to it. That's 1-2 right. We'll be landing on probably 1-2 left. It's still nearly 2 miles long. And if I have trouble landing my Piper Aero on a 2-mile long runway, they've even got arrestor cables as well for the military, because it is a military base. I'm hoping I'll be able to stop before the 2-mile point.
I'm not heading for the stars, driving down the boulevard at night, playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. And it doesn't even matter to me where I go, I just feel I need to take a ride. Got my coffee cup to go, and I'm gonna hit the road tonight.
Zaragoza Tower, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, good afternoon, Zaragoza Tower, continue, report passing November, will be for runway 12 left.
Continue, and from point November, it's runway 12 left, Golf India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, copy, report established on final runway 12 left.
Wilco, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor. Oh, you can see the big shuttle runway there, which is the right runway and extends further this way. It's enormous. Let's get the gear down. I did check the speed. Got 3 greens. Brakes, undercarriage is down, 3 greens. Mixture's fully rich. Engine temperatures and pressures are in the green. We've got the fuel on the fullest tank. Direction indicator is aligned. We've got landing light on. Doors are locked. We are strapped in. Golf India Victor, establish on final runway 12 left.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, wind 10011 knots, runway 12 left, clear to land.
Please land runway 12 left, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor. Reds, blues, 3 greens. Got distance to go markers, just like the shuttle landing runway does. You see the 8 markers, you don't get that much in Europe normally. I think we've got a follow me car. Golf India Victor, we're following the follow me car.
Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, please follow with the muzzle instruction. Thank you, sir.
Wilco, Golf India Victor, goodbye. Oh, we made it, folks. Don't forget to enter the competition. Meet and greet with Commander Chris Hadfield and to see his Journey into the Cosmos show in Oxford.
Thank you for watching. If you want to know some more of the detail about this flight, there's a bonus video out now on my Supporters Club channel with more content from the trip. I'll also talk through the route, the airspace, the hazards, the issues, and the costs of landing at Zaragoza. Until I see you next time, fly safely, my friends.